Columbia River, Revelstoke.
Thank you. Well, let's see if we can do better with answers than that. Let's go to the minister responsible for the decision on Jumbo. Every measure of public opinion in the Columbia Valley for the past 20 years has made it clear that people who know that project the best have been against it. And I'll just remind the minister of some of the indications of that. 91% actually against it in the environmental assessment process. Invermere Mayor and Council consistently against the project. 79% opposed in a referendum. The Ktunaxa First Nations strongly opposed. After all the petitions, all the demonstrations, all the letters, the minister has chosen to ignore the residents of the Columbia Valley and instead impose a development. So it's no wonder, I suppose, that the minister hid away as far as he could from the Columbia Valley when he made the announcement. So the question I have for the minister, does the minister seriously think that people in the Kootenays are going to quietly sit by while he attempts to impose a development in Jumbo Valley?
Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This is a project that has had the most extensive review process, the most extensive consultation process in history, over 20 years, as the minister, as the member opposite referenced. And this is, again, a pattern that seems to be developing, opposing economic development projects that have been through processes. A change in policy. Again, the member referenced 20 years. Perhaps, I know they don't like to be reminded of the past, Mr. Speaker, but let me read a letter of support from the former leader and former premier of the NDP, Mike Harcourt, to the proponent of this resort. And he says, "I hope that you will be able to proceed on this project and that one day we may see this international venture realized." Mr. Speaker, that day is now. 20 years through the process, through a legitimate process with environmental assessment. Mr. Speaker, it was time the decision was made, and we're proud that we've made that decision.
Member has supplemental.
Well, I mean, these are projects that are best understood locally. So the minister quotes a mayor of Vancouver, former mayor of Vancouver. And what, I mean, the fact is that consistently people who have been there have understood the projects. If you look at Kootenay communities, if you look at the Ktunaxa, you will consistently have individuals who know these projects well. They have developed resorts in the area. And what they are doing is they are looking at this and they understand that if you're going to develop a resort, it is important that it fit in with a long-term plan. This project does not fit in with a long-term plan. And residents from the area who best understand that have told this minister that repeatedly. I have a question for the minister. Is the minister presenting an honest picture to potential investors? Are they being told about the strong local opposition and the First Nations objections, or are BC Liberals again misleading investors?
Minister.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Maybe I'll just correct the member opposite. That quote was not from the former mayor of Vancouver. That quote was from the former leader and the premier of the province at the time. That is a quote. That is a quote in official communication from the office of the Premier. But, Mr. Speaker, let's be clear. This project has been through an environmental assessment process with 195 conditions on it. Environmental assessment approval following the interim agreement that was provided in the 1990s. Again, master resort approval. The proponent in this case has met every test through the process, complied with all the conditions and all the agreements. The master development agreement provides, ensures that those conditions are met in the Master Development Agreement. Again, 20 years, Mr. Speaker. We're pleased to have made the decision. It was time for the decision to be made, and we look forward to the project proceeding.